So let's get to this. So, Larian Studios in Malaysia. What is your target scope for that, and how did it came to be?
Maybe I'll start with the second part of your question. Larian is organized as a team of 4 studios. We have one in Russia, we have one in Belgium, one in Ireland, and one in Canada, in Quebec. And so we try to pass on work from one studio to the other to avoid having to work like really long days. And that's been successful to a certain extent, so we're getting better and better at it. And the one bit that was still missing was a studio in the East to be able to actually do 24 hours. And to give you an example, if we have somebody in QA that starts playing our games are very big. And when they start playing on Monday morning, they're basically finished at the end of the month with doing one run of the game. But by doing this 24-hour cycle, we can bring it down to 1 week, which allows us, because save games can be passed on. And like this, we can actually accelerate our development. And we tried this model out on Original Sin 2, which was made in 2 years actually, which is a very short time for this type of RPG. So for Baldur's Gate 3, which is huge, we need something like this to be actually able to even make the game, considering all our ambitions for it. So we started looking in the East. We did a lot of scouting, and Malaysia was picked up because, first of all, the location was perfect. It was 6 hours, 7 hours away from, and 5 hours from our other studios. So it was pretty good, because there's still an overlap, but there's still sufficient time so that we can actually benefit from the days. And then from Canada to Malaysia, we have the other way around. The English that people are speaking here was very good also, so that was also an important one. There's a lot of talent. I mean, you have a very active art industry, and your programmers are up and coming also, so that was obviously important. You have schools that are also wanting to grow, so that is also not unimportant. And it turns out there's a lot of RPG fans. And then on top of that, the government has been incredibly supportive. So you are very lucky to have a team like MDEC, to be honest.
Yeah. So how's it so far for you and your team dealing with the Baldur's Gate IP and creating the 3rd installment of the series? How's everything so far?
A bit of pressure. No, I mean, like it's an interesting one because like I think probably everybody in the company is a fan of Baldur's Gate, especially of Dungeons and Dragons. And so, but we also have our own way of making our RPGs, so we're trying to blend those two together so that we make our version of Baldur's Gate 3, but still a game that people who love Dungeons and Dragons will say, okay, well, this is really what I expect from Dungeons and Dragons as a video game. And so that's what Baldur's Gate 2 did back in the day, and Baldur's Gate 1 also. So that is what we're trying to make, and we are probably our own worst enemies when it comes to releasing it, because our expectations from ourselves are very high. So we're, it's shaping up to be a really cool game, but it's not ready yet. That's why we came to Malaysia.
So, as a game developer in Larian Studios, what is your most memorable moment?
Oh my God, there's been many, like really many. I mean, I can't pick a single one. I mean, like there's highlights and lowlights. I think the Kickstarters and the success of the Original Sins was fantastic, obviously. Those were very highlight moments. Lowlight moments were where we released the game and that was not finished, like the first Divinity, and we had to downscale heavily. So those were the lowlights. Shipping my very first game, which was the Lead Wars, an RTS, very obscure RTS, but I remember sitting on the floor, I was dead tired. I was the only programmer on it. And I was looking at the box and I was like, yeah, this is it? Now what? And there was no fan feedback yet, so you just shipped something and you didn't feel that you did something, you know, like that. Yeah, you didn't know, right? So afterwards that changed, which was a good thing, because then you had forums, you could talk to people, so that was a big thing. But there's been like, you know, I mean, aha moments in design where I said, oh, we're going to do it like this, and there's so much cool stuff that you do as a game developer.
Well, for your current RPG games and even future RPG games, would you consider implementing the loot box system on it, or rather surprise elements into it?
So I'm a very old school developer. I believe in stories with the beginning and middle of an end. I'm not really big when it comes on monetization mechanisms. So I just I prefer the model where you buy a game and you get something. I understand that the world has changed. But if you ask me, I just want to pay for a piece of entertainment and have that entertainment completely, without there being mechanics in there for like doing stuff that are not really focused on the gameplay itself. So, but that's just me.
A lot of games these days implement a lot of these loot boxes despite being $60 games and everything.
Yeah, I know. I mean, like with this, the mechanics of game development are very complicated. I'm not going to start criticizing it because it is a, you know, if you spend $100 million on a game or $200 million on a game, you somehow want to be able to get the money back. And so I can imagine that you are looking for lots of mechanics to be able to do it. And it really depends on you as a player what you want to pay for it, right? So there's nobody that's forcing people to buy a game, so they can always choose what they do.
So ever since the reveal of Google Stadia, and what are your stance towards it? Like, how do you feel your game being on that platform compared to other services like PlayStation's Play Now or Xbox Game Pass and everything like that?
So I think Stadia as a technology is fantastic. Like it's really, I mean, like we've been fooling around with it and it works really well. We will see how it's going to roll out. I don't know what it's going to look like across the globe. I've only seen the versions that we have, but it enables you to do a lot of things. And the thing that really attracted me into Stadia is I have a game that people are afraid of initially, and then they start playing and they say, "Damn, I never realized that I like the turn-based RPG." Right, so I make games that have a bit of depth and that might be scary. Something like Stadia will get people to very easily try it, and even better, it will get people to very easily invite their friends to try it with them. And so we know from experience, because we do this at conventions, if we put players in front of our game, most people are sold. They buy it afterwards. So we just have to get them to try it. And so technologies like Stadia will enable us. It will increase the accessibility of our type of gameplay. And I think that's something you'll see for a lot of developers. And so I'm counting that that's going to work well.
We're definitely hoping for that too as well, because it's very exciting to see how the technology of Google Stadia can bring the gaming industry to new heights.
Yeah, I think it will broaden it. I mean, like there's of course it's technology, and we are all going to rely on 5G networks, and the internet has to work, and like so it might be stumbling in the beginning, but I think the trend is definitely there. I mean, like becoming device agnostic is a good thing in my opinion. Like platform agnostic, device agnostic is the ideal case for a player. So it's being able to play anywhere.
With that being said, what would be your next project? Will Divinity Original Sin 3 will be the next one for you guys?
I'm trying to make Baldur's Gate 3, so definitely not announcing anything else right now. I have my hands full.
Well, that'll be all.
All right.
Thank you so much for your time, Swen.
Thank you.
Thank you.
All right.
And yeah, we'll see you guys next time.
Bye-bye.